Hi everyone, welcome back to the Bookkeeping Made Simple channel. My name's Donna. I'm the owner and president of Bookkeeping Made Simple. And I am here to help small business owners make sense of their numbers so they can grow confidently, and avoid costly mistakes. That's what we do here. Today we're going to talk about something that surprises a lot of business owners, and in fact most taxpayers, and that is that accountants often take the summer months off. And so we want to know, what does that mean for your business? And why do they do that? Well, the biggest reason we do that is so if you've ever reached out to your accountant during the summer months, June, July, August, and you haven't been able to reach them, there is a reason. And it's not that we don't like to work. We are working fools. It is because of the nature of our work. So we don't really take the summer off in the traditional sense. It's more of a recovery period. You see, from January through April, we are nose to the grindstone, full throttle. I had a really difficult tax season this year. It was very challenging. And some of this is going to be addressed a little bit later in the video, but we work long hours during tax season. Again, January 1st is when it starts. The IRS may not start accepting e-file until February, but we have to start in January. Sometimes we even have to start in December, because the first thing we have 1099s that have to go out. We have W-2s that have to go out in January. And then tax season starts. February and March up to March 15th, primarily for small business owners, because the corporate returns, partnerships, S Corps and C Corps are all due on March 15th. So we have to take care of that. We have individual returns due April 15th. And in the middle of all this, because of the nature of our work, we also have to do multiple tax returns. I have several hundred tax clients that I have to take care of every year, and I'm thankful for all of them, but it's a lot of work in the first 4 months of the year. We have to manage all of those returns and bookkeeping cleanups and client demands, payroll filings. It is our peak season, the first 4 months of the year. May through August is often the only time we have to step back, work on ourselves, rest, recuperate, recharge, slow down, spend time with our families, spend time working on our businesses instead of always in our business. It's not that we're really taking summers off. It is that finally we have a moment to breathe. It is a seasonal business. Our seasons are January to May 1st, and then September 1st to October 15th. And then October 15th to December 31st, we're gearing up for the next tax season. So we have this little break in the summer where we can take a little bit more time off. We can start working on additional certifications, such as the enrolled agent exam, or finishing up, this is when the CPA exam is administered. We invest a lot of time in continuing education. For me, this is also when I go in and I hire business consultants to come in and help me make sure that I'm getting the right kind of clients for my business. I love my tax clients, but the bread and butter is in the monthly, ongoing, recurring work. So I want more of those clients. So that is why you're going to have a much more difficult time getting hold of your accountant after tax season is over and before the fall tax season has started. We are exhausted. I kid you not, during tax season, I'm the only tax practitioner in my office at this time. I'm recording this on June 3rd of 2025. So tomorrow, that may change. This fall, I do plan to hire another tax preparer, but right now I'm the only one in my firm. I work 100-hour weeks sometimes. It creates a lot of stress between myself and my boyfriend, fiance, because he wants my time and attention during tax season, and I didn't have it to give. So it just was not a thing. And then you throw in any sort of illness. Okay? I came down with some sort of weird flu in the end of January. I was sick through my birthday in February. 3 weeks that I was doing the bare minimums because I was so sick I couldn't function. So that also can throw off tax season enormously. So it is very, and there's no substitutes. I don't have a substitute teacher. You know, public school teachers are off in the summer because their students are gone, and this is their, really, it's not that they're not working, it is that this is their time to recharge because the school year is intense, and to do the other things they have to do to get ready for the next school year. We all understand this about school teachers. It's the same thing for accountants. We have a couple of months in the summertime when we can take a breather, step back, work on our businesses, do all the stuff that got pushed to the back of the desk during tax season, and prepare for the next tax season. And we're always doing that. I can also say that on April 16th every year, or whatever, occasionally we have a later date, but the day after tax season ends, I start down and I do a full post-mortem on the past tax season. What went well? What went not so well? What are the things that I really, really need to improve on? Where are my clients having problems with communication? How much of that is my fault? Some of it is. What can I do to make it as easy as possible for my clients to communicate with me without being interrupted all the time? And I'm going to talk about interruptions specifically when it comes to accounting here in a second. That's what my summers are for. It is looking back at the past tax season, because I don't want to be one of those people that says, oh, I've been in business for 20 years, when they really mean I've had the same year of business 20 years in a row, because they don't do any work on their businesses. So I take my summer, spring and summer, and I really focus on what do I need to do better? How do I dial in marketing? How can I make next tax season go smoother? And on top of that, we have extensions. So I want to kind of segue from talking about why accountants take the summers off. I said we're burned out, we're stressed, there's not enough of us, we're taking a couple of months to ourselves while still trying to maintain our businesses and keep things going, and try to spend a little bit of time making sure our clients are happy. Okay? So we want to make sure clients are happy, but we also have to make sure that our families don't fall apart, that we are doing the things we need to do to be better for next year, and that we are working on our businesses, taking care of our families, and taking care of our health. So I want to talk a little bit about interruptions. This is kind of my most stressful part of my job. It is not sitting down to do tax returns, folks. I could do tax returns all day long. I really very much enjoy it. It is the best part of my day, which probably sounds really weird to you, but it's relaxing to me. And fortunately for us in our rather specialized society, we need all types. So I enjoy doing tax returns, but it can be very challenging. And this is why. We have all heard, at least I hope you've heard, the studies that show that an interruption, a simple interruption, whether it's someone coming into my office to ask questions, needing to pick up the phone, dealing with an emailed interruption, anything like that. We've all heard that you can't multitask and that it takes about 20 minutes to get back on track after being interrupted. Now that may depend on the nature of the interruption. If it is my boyfriend came into my office and just wanted a hug and a kiss, that doesn't take me 20 minutes to get back to work after that. That's so sweet, and we sit down and go back to work. But if I have to stop my tax return and pause long enough to research, to read someone's question or take a phone call, research that question and give them an intelligent, thoughtful answer, then it is going to take me 20 minutes or more to get back into my flow. The challenge is these interruptions, they can derail me as the accountant. And it's frustrating. It is unbelievably frustrating for me as an accountant. I understand the client's point of view. If I was the client, I would want to know where my tax return was too. But we need your help to manage these. And I'm gonna do another version of this video later. But this is something that's really important. Accounting work is not plugging a bunch of numbers into a spreadsheet and just, there you go. It is deeply focused. It is layered. It is cumulative. I need to be able to go back and make sure that my clients are, one, I want to make sure they're getting all the deductions that they're entitled to. The tax code works for everybody, and that's important to know. You have to have a good accountant to stay on top of it, because there are subtleties and there are nuances to it that we want to make sure that our clients are taking advantage of all of the benefits that are available in the tax code. Most of my clients, the vast majority, are business owners. Okay? So I have a lot of S Corps, C Corps, and partnership returns, again, with an earlier due date. And I often have to go through and request more information to be able to really get into the return. Here's my frustration, okay? One, every interruption costs me money, okay? And I mean this as kindly as possible. It is, I have to go through, I have to make sure that if I'm working with a client and I'm in their books and I'm in their tax returns, I need to go through. I need to make sure that what on earth is this uncategorized income that you have listed here, Mr. Client? I don't know what that income comes from. Is this proceeds from a loan? Is it cash back from your credit cards? Those are both non-taxable events. Or did you just not know where to put sales? Because if that's the case, then well, we can help you with your bookkeeping, and I need to figure that out. Okay, so it is nuanced, it is complex, it is layered, it is a lot of me going back and saying, this doesn't pass the smell test. Why are you sending this to me? Or, so we're not just looking at your numbers, we're reconciling them. We are tracing the source. We are going back. We are identifying errors, looking for duplicates. We are making sure that the numbers at least make sense. We are verifying tax treatment. So if you buy a new piece of equipment, I need to have notes somewhere that explain to me, one, that you have a new piece of equipment, how much you paid for it, what was your cost basis, did you have to do anything extra to it to get it to be serviceable for your business needs? And do I need to review all of your loan history? There's a lot that goes into this. Every interruption breaks that chain of focus. And that is why when you call into the office, you talk to my dear brother, Dave, who, by the way, is an MBA. That's the only reason I hired him. It wasn't because he needed a job. It was because he needed a job. He has the qualifications, and I needed help. If he hadn't been qualified, sibling or not, you can ask my other siblings. I wouldn't have hired him. But that is why I have someone else answer the phone when I'm in deep work. Every single call, every single email, text, last minute request derails that chain of focus. So it's not like flipping a light switch. And that's where I think a lot of people really think it is. They think I can take a second, look at their numbers, and come back and jump right back into what I was doing. And I do try to do that. But the fact is that it takes me quite a bit of time to go back and remember, even though I am a freak about notation and I am particular about documentation, you know, it's not like flipping a light switch. It's like starting your crock pot. It's going to take 15, 20, 30 minutes to get back into the focus zone. Remember what I was doing in that return. Um, and now, and make sure that I'm, not duplicating things, that I'm not, I can review a return pretty quickly, but how much quicker is it for me to just do it with no interruptions? And when we're working on 15, 20, 50, 200 clients, every minute counts. That is why there are times when it's very, very difficult for me to answer the emails, because it's not a quick answer. It's a quick question. When are you going to get my taxes done? The answer is not quick. The answer is, it depends, like everything else in accounting. The answer is, it depends. It depends on how many interruptions I get. It depends on if someone calls me and absolutely bullies me into making them the next person in the queue. It depends on whether or not you bothered to upload all of the documentation that I requested. I cannot tell you how many times on an individual tax return I have to go back and say, what are your children's social security numbers and dates of birth? I shouldn't even have to ask for that. That's like, I need your social security number, your date of birth. I shouldn't even, I mean, this is such basic stuff that I get really frustrated when I have to go back and say, I sent you a form, it requested this information, you didn't fill it out, now I have to interrupt what I was doing, ask you for that information, hope I can reach you, hope you're available for an email or text, or a phone call, work on someone else's stuff while I'm waiting for you to get back to me, client, Mr. Client, and then take that interruption again in the second return when I get your information back. Every single moment counts. Every single second of focus counts when we're doing accounting. Interruptions lead to errors in your books. And by the way, it might not even be you doing the interrupting. That's important to know. It could be the guy down the street that thinks he needs to be, or the guy across the country. I work with clients from Florida to Hawaii. The guy who believes that it is so important for him to have his return done next in line that he is calling me every week to see where I'm at. The average tax return takes 1 to 2 hours, possibly longer. AI cannot do them. AI is never going to take my job. It's going to take maybe the marketing stuff out. It's going to help me, but it's never going to take my job because this is nuanced. It's layered. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into it that AI is not equipped to do. So when I get interrupted, even though Mr. Client might not be the one interrupting me, and Mrs. Customer on the other side of the country is the one sending me a whole lot of emails asking what she thinks are simple questions but are very complex and require research. Mr. Client, who's been the greatest client in the world, is now paying the price of Mrs. Customer's interruptions. Because Mrs. Customer is interrupting me and I'm working on Mr. Client's books, Mr. Client's going to pay a price. It's not really fair, is it? It is, however, kind of the nature of the beast. So what I really want to point out is every time we get an email or a call and it's something vague, and there's ways to help us with this, by the way, and it's not just me, it is all accountants. This is such an important and challenging issue that all accountants have, that there was a whole article devoted to this in the Journal of Accountancy. Okay, so I want you to understand, this is not just me complaining. This is the entire accounting industry dealing with this frustration. So what do interruptions lead to? Well, they lead to errors in your books, missed deadlines, delayed reporting, and frustration for everybody. Not just the client on whose books I am working at that moment, but all of my clients. And it makes me look bad because I either am not answering emails timely enough, or I'm missing tax deadlines because I can't get to everything timely enough. So if you're a business owner, you know that if you get interrupted all the time, it affects your ability to keep your business running smoothly. It is the same thing for accountants. And it's even worse for accountants because we know that if your books are incomplete or outdated or late, then you have to pay the price. I pay the price of maybe losing a customer. My client pays the price of penalties and fees. And I, as the tax preparer, am not responsible for those, even if you tell the IRS it was my fault. Even if you go back and tell the IRS, well, I depended on my accountant to file those taxes in a timely manner, and she didn't, and so I think she should have to pay. They are not going to pay the least bit of attention to you. That is the law. It is the taxpayer's issue. So I want to kind of get going with common causes of interruptions. Like I said, most of them are, we can mitigate a lot of them. And we also want to make sure that the clients are able to get their questions answered in a reasonable time. So we want to talk about mitigating those interruptions. And these are some of the things that we are implementing here at Bookkeeping Made Simple. One, please don't do an unscheduled check-in. If you're calling really quick to see if your tax return was filed and accepted, that's fine. That's something my assistant can do. But a lot of times these unscheduled check-ins, this, can you take a quick look at this? Or, hey, do you have a second? It's never a second. It's usually 20 minutes. It's never a quick look. It's usually fairly in-depth, may take up to an hour. So we suggest that you set scheduled check-ins. We have open office hours, which I am late to right now because I'm recording this. So I have a dedicated time of an hour. It's 2 hours a week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, where I can say, I'm available here to answer any of the questions that you have. I may not be able to answer the questions, but I can at least make note of it and schedule a time to do the research. So it's much better for you as the client to schedule your check-ins. We try to do that here with quarterly reviews. Our bookkeeping clients get a quarterly review where I go in, regardless of who's working on the books. I or one of the management team goes in, we go through the books, we make sure that everything, we audit them. We take some samples, we look at the books and we go, okay, well, this project looks okay, this portion of the balance sheet looks okay, I've double checked the accounts receivables, I took 5 AR accounts, they look fine, I don't see any major problems. That's really what we're doing, is looking to see if there's any major problems in the books. Were the books reconciled? I have a whole video coming on that. But we try to mitigate this by, one, planning ahead and knowing that we want to have a quarterly review with our clients, at least our business clients. And pre-notifying. We initiate the quarterly review. I go in, I review the books. I may refer it back to the bookkeeper to make some corrections, and then I want to have a meeting with my client. And the purpose of that meeting is to say, do you have any questions? Is anything coming up? Do you want to, I don't know, purchase a home? Are you buying more office space? Are you buying more equipment? Are you going to need loans? Are your kids going off to college? How are things changing for you this year? Are you getting a divorce? All of these things have been things that people have come to me in January about. And some of the frustration is, if I had known about some of this in December, oh, I want to buy more equipment. Ooh, let's take a look and see where you're at. How much equipment have you purchased this year? Well, we can only depreciate this much. Maybe you should hold off until January to buy this equipment. is one scenario. Or why did you wait until January? We could have used the tax write-off in December. Either way, I need to know. The next thing is the unscheduled check-in. Please understand that when you are asking for any kind of information from your accountant, they may very well, you may think it's a simple question, they may very well have to schedule time to do some research to be able to give you a thoughtful, useful, informative response to your email. I don't like dashing off just random emails. I want to give my clients a good response. And by the way, that takes time to read the email, determine what the question is. Sometimes it's a challenge. Do the research and then write the email. And even using AI, that can be quite time consuming just for one email. So the best idea is really to have a scheduled check-in. Again, that's what our quarterly reviews are for. Let your accountant know in advance what you need. Give them time to prepare. So when you're scheduling an appointment, if with us or with any other accountant, let them know, hey, I have a purchase that I want to make in my business. I'm thinking of a former client. I'm really curious to know what that's going to mean, what the tax implications are going to be, and would you please look into this. At which time I can quickly reply and say, yes, let me do some research. I will get back to you. If I don't get back to you by this date, would you please remind me or something? But please, I'm trying to make sure that I'm controlling my workload as opposed to letting the clients control my workload, because if the clients control it, they don't know what else is going on in the business. They don't know what's going on in my personal life. They don't know what's going on in my family. They don't know about all my other clients. They don't even know how many clients I have. And so I need to be the one to control the workload. So schedule your check-ins. Let your accountant know in advance, hey, I'm going to schedule a quick appointment with you, and this is the question that I have. Or use our open office hours. The next one that's a big problem is last-minute document drops. Now, for our bookkeeping clients, this is not a big deal because we keep QuickBooks updated every week for all of our clients, or for all of our bookkeeping clients. But I used to joke about what I called the April Fool's box. And when I first started in accounting, I would get boxes from my clients, banker's boxes. And they would drop them off, I kid you not, on April 1st. I do remember getting a banker's, and it was neatly organized. I mean, it's not like it was just a box full of receipts. I've gotten those too. I got a nicely, neatly organized banker's box full of receipts on April 1st. And the client said, can you have this ready by the 10th? No, I cannot. Not during my busiest time of year. No, it is physically not possible. One, I didn't know what the heck they wanted me to do with all this. Two, I had other clients that demanded my attention. And they thought it was simple. They just dropped off a box of receipts. I spent all 10 days with my children helping me trying to make sense of that box of receipts. 10 days. 80 hours I spent on that one box. That's why we don't like last-minute document dumps. Make sure we want to have regular uploads. We set up your bank feeds in QuickBooks Online so that we can get those transactions into your accounting system. We ask for accountant access to your bank accounts. That does not give us the ability to do anything with your money, just to see your statements and copies of checks and verify your transactions. That's it. We just want view access to your accounts, or we want you to send us your statements in a timely manner. We need those every week, every month, not once a year. The third challenge most accountants have is scope creep. So asking your accountant to do just this one thing that's outside of your engagement letter or your agreement. We use both, by the way. We have an engagement letter for tax that specifies what we're going to do. And we also have an agreement for our ongoing monthly clients that specifies what we're going to do. And then asking for extra outside of that, it is really tough on us because our workflows are usually pretty full. You didn't pay for that. That's a big thing. Most of us, most of the time, are perfectly willing to take a second and send you your reports. But they are also available for you inside QuickBooks Online, so you don't really need your accountant to do that. But what's happening is it's called scope creep or mission creep. I come from an Army family. My brother is an Army veteran. My dad's an Army veteran. I'm a veteran dependent, or used to be. So that's a very common thing. It's very, very easy to do. Again, I don't fault the client. I just want this brought to their attention. Scope creep is what happens when you say, I would like weekly bookkeeping done. I want you to enter everything into QuickBooks. I want a quarterly review. I want whatever's in the agreement, okay? And then you come along 3 weeks later and say, oh, just one more thing. I also want you to do payroll. Okay, let's be honest, payroll does not take a lot of time. It probably takes my clients more time to email me their payroll details than it does for me to actually do the payroll. But it is one more thing I have to do, and it has to be done timely, and it has to be done, it has to be accurate. So again, we have our workflows pretty tight as it is. And when we start getting these requests for one extra little thing, we're usually really happy to do it. But understand and respect the fact that it is scope creep, and that if we have enough notice, and here's where a lot of my clients I get really frustrated with them. Not a lot of them, just one or two. One of them I just fired. They will let me know, I'm buying a house next week. I need my tax returns done. That's not anywhere near enough notice. I should have had notice that this person was shopping for a house when he called before he called for a mortgage lender. I should have gotten that phone call. Hey, Donna, we are looking for a house. Just want to let you know so you have a heads up. We're going to need some financial stuff, and I would like to be able to have my mortgage officer speak to you. That's fine, totally fine. But I do need notice. I cannot all of a sudden say to all of my other clients, oh, let me just take care of this one guy because he's got something that he didn't bother to tell me about, but it's way more important than you. Now, to him it is, absolutely. And I respect that it's important to him, but I needed notice. You don't buy a house at the last minute, typically. And the basic thing, this is what everything else hinges on, when we don't get all the information we need. As I kind of referenced before, when I have to go back and tell a client, I can't complete your return because you didn't give me your social security numbers or your dates of birth or those of your children. And I need to know, do you or your ex-wife claim all of these children, or do you split them, or do you claim them in alternate years? I need to know all of this. Same thing with the bookkeeping and accounting clients, not just the tax clients, but all of my clients. Did you make a new purchase of equipment? I need to know. Did you take out a loan to purchase this equipment? I need to know. Why? Well, because I'm nosy. No, not because I'm nosy. Because I need to put them in the books. and I need to make sure your books are correct. I need to make sure your tax returns are correct. And in order to do that, I have to have every single bit of financial information you can possibly give me. So if I ask for something and you don't provide it to me, understand it is going to cause problems, not just for you and not just for me, but for all of my other clients that are waiting on me. So there's some things that we can do to mitigate what happens with interruptions. One, please put the tax deadlines on your calendar. You should know them. I had a big spat. This gal gave me a terrible review because of this. I had a client reach out in April asking about her business returns. Business returns. I'm an accountant. I'm thinking partnership, S Corp, C Corp. Business returns. So I said, great. I'd be happy to help you with that. Are you a partnership, an S Corp, or a C Corp? And she said, it's a single owner LLC. I said, okay. Well, your single owner LLC should have been declared on your personal tax return. This is all factual information. You can take this one to the bank. This is not an it depends. Your personal single owner LLC is prepared on Schedule C of your 1040 personal tax return. It is considered a sole proprietorship for tax purposes. The LLC part protects you legally, not financially. Okay, we are limiting your liability, your legal liability, but taxation-wise, you're a sole proprietor or a disregarded entity. She took exception with this and said that, well, I didn't know what I was doing or that I was being mean. I can't remember which. And I said, really, you should know, and this is true, you should know what your tax deadlines are. You say this again. You, as the taxpayer, should know what your tax deadlines are. You might not know what form to put them on, but you should know what they are. So she was contacting me mid-April. I'm not even sure she was in time for tax day. And she got mad because I said, oh, that should have gone on your personal return. Now she was telling me she needed her business return done and she was going to have her personal return. She'd already done her personal return with a different accountant. That's fine. I don't care. But I said, oh, well, if it's a single owner LLC, then it gets reported on your personal tax return on Schedule C. And you should have told your personal tax preparer that you were starting this business. She got so mad at me, she left me a terrible review and said I was unprofessional. I may yet post all the receipts, all the emails. So she got mad and called me unprofessional because I gave her the correct information for her business. And then she wouldn't talk to me anymore, which is fine. I had no energy on it at the time, but I am shocked at the entitlement of this woman. Even again, my brother, Army veteran, we both dealt with the public a lot. He's worked in law offices, and he was shocked at her entitlement. So, by the way, I always say there's three people you should always take care to be respectful towards: your doctor, your attorney, and your accountant. And with all three of us, by the way, we can mess up your lives in ways you won't even know. We won't. I won't. Nobody I know would. But we can, because we have that information. Remember what you're giving to all of us. If you're working with professionals, we have to have very personal information, and it's usually a good idea to stay respectful, because I have known accountants to turn their clients in for audits because they knew them to be. So she got angry because I was giving her actual factual information, but she just didn't happen to like it. And that kind of brings me to, making sure that you are successful working with your accountant. One, use a financial calendar. I do this, obviously. Yes, I know all the due dates, but sometimes it's really helpful to put them on the calendar and make sure that you can see it. It should be like a big red letter day that March 15th, S Corp, C Corp, or corporate and partnership returns are due. April 15th, individual and all other returns are due. By the way, I think trusts are also due on March 15th. W-2s and 1099s are required to be mailed by the last day of January. And then if you file an extension on your taxes, then you get an extra 6 months. So if you are a corporate or partnership or trust and you get an extension, you go from March to September. If you're an individual, you go from April to October, but you do have to file an extension request, and then it's pretty much automatically granted. So that way everybody knows what to expect and when. Take advantage of the quarterly reviews that we offer. I don't know if any other accountants do this, but take advantage of the quarterly reviews and have a discussion with your accountant about what is expected and when you're expecting. That way everyone knows what to expect and when. Also, instead of sending an email every time you think of something, one of my favorite things is for the clients to have a shared document. Now this won't like pop up in my face when I'm working on something like an email does, but if you just put a Word document in your SharePoint folder, then you can actually title it Questions for My Accountant, and then put all the questions there. That way, when we get to your return or your books, and we usually do have a set kind of process that we go through, we can pull that document up. It's available to both of us. We can respond to it. You know, if you make your questions in black, we can put replies in blue. And that way we can both be working on the same document at the same time, and there is just a set place for us to respond to your questions, and you know where to go to get your questions answered. Now, that way it's kind of coming over to us in a batch. Respect focus time. This is also why we are, that's why I set very strict boundaries around my office hours. The client that I just fired got fired not because of the last minute requests he was making. He got fired because he was calling at 8 o'clock in the morning. We open at 9. Our office hours, by the way, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, Mountain Time, that's Utah time, Denver. You know, we're the same time zone as Denver. That's how it's usually labeled. We do have daylight savings time as of today. And we take all the major holidays off. So if the bank is closed, we are closed to clients. I always kind of add that because I personally, since I am the owner of the business, I will work, but I don't require my employees to, and I don't want any client-facing work at those times. So you need to respect our focus time. From 7 to 9 in the morning is prime focus time for me. From 5 to 7 at night is prime focus time for me. After 7 p.m., I have to get up and start taking care of family and home stuff. That does, by the way, tell you how many hours I work in a day. Okay. I have very strict boundaries about after hours and weekends, partly because I need my after hours and weekends for me to relax and recharge so that I can be the best accountant possible for my clients. I don't want to, this is probably my least proud moment of this past tax season. And this is very, 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 very rare, but I had a client call, and she had, I guess, kind of joked with my brother that she was going to call all the time until I got to her tax returns. I was so tired, and I was sick, and I was burnt out, and I was stressed, and that did not resonate well with me. And then she called, and I flipped. And I said, you can't keep doing this to me. I cannot get to your tax return because you keep interrupting me. And that means that every time you interrupt me, it's a 20-minute cost to my time. I'm going to start billing you. And I don't think I was horribly rude, but I was definitely upset. I may have been horribly rude. I really hope not. I remember it was a Friday. I remember who I was talking to. I comped her entire tax return. She had an S Corp return and a personal return, and I felt so bad about the way I treated her that I didn't charge her. So my whole point of this is we have our boundaries around our focus times and our nights and weekends because we need that time to rest, to recharge, to be a better accountant for you. And the customer service can go out the window if we're tired and cranky and we haven't had a break in 4 months. So, like I said, I'm not proud of it. I don't even like talking about it, but I also feel like hopefully it is authentic. Also, kind of plan ahead for summer. Everybody knows everybody is checked out on certain times. Nobody's doing business in July, okay? Or it's going to be abbreviated, especially in Utah because we have an extra July holiday. So we have Independence Day on the 4th. And in Utah, we have Pioneer Day on the 24th, which is the day the Utah Pioneers came into the Salt Lake Valley. It is still celebrated. So understand, July and August, we may be completely checked out. We may be doing some, we're trying to wrap up key projects in May. Here it is June. I'm still working on all my key projects. And but starting July and August, I am taking more time off so that I can just have a summer, so I can rest, so I can be a nice person. So don't wait until August to ask for your mid-year financial review. And make sure you're honoring our time because we really, we do a lot and we need those rest periods and focus periods really honored. And then I would say we use a lot of tools to automate our workflow. So your document uploads can go to SharePoint. We try to keep track of your questions and make sure that they're answered. And sometimes that takes some work. So please give us grace, especially during tax season. So what's the takeaway here? Well, number one, accountants aren't disappearing in the summer. We are just trying to get everything done that needs to be done. And a lot of that means adding credentials, adding our continuing education requirements, recharging, protecting our time so that we can serve you better. It's not selfishness on our part. We want to be good accountants. We want to serve you well. I think that the key to a productive and efficient accountant and client relationship is mutual respect. It's planning and coordination. And so if you're a business owner, number one, ask yourself, would this frustrate me if I was in her shoes? So if I'm saying I can't get to your tax returns because I'm being interrupted so much, it's not just me saying I don't want to do customer service. It is I want to do customer service, but it is not like working at McDonald's. Okay, my first job was McDonald's. This is not like that. At McDonald's, someone would pull me aside and say, hey, can you get me some ketchup? I throw some ketchup packets in their general direction. Here you go. And I'm done with that interaction. I don't have to go back and research what the ketchup packets are. I don't have to go and ask my manager for information about ketchup. I'm not answering questions about the main ingredients in ketchup. They just want a ketchup packet and I give it to them. That was easy. That was McDonald's. Here, at Bookkeeping Made Simple, someone asked me a tax question. It is not as simple as tossing a ketchup packet at them. It is, I have to read the question, figure out what the question really means, because a lot of times it doesn't mean what they said. And then come up with an intelligent, thoughtful response that is accurate. So ask yourself, am I giving my accountant the space and tools to do her best work? So if you are, by the way, if you filed an extension in April, I have until October to do your return. I'm trying to get everybody's return done before October because I don't want a big bunch of pressure in October, but please give me the space to do those returns, because I also have to do my regular monthly work. I have to do my quarterly returns. I have to work on my own business. I have to go get I have to take the EA exam. It's a 4-part exam, very much equivalent. It's much harder actually than the taxation section of the CPA exam. So start asking yourself some questions. Talk about space and tools. Are you planning ahead, or are you dropping things on her last minute? Are you building accounting into the rhythm of your business? Or is it an afterthought? And if you're an accountant watching this, boundaries. Set boundaries, communicate clearly, and use tech to support your clients when you're off the clock. I am setting up some things like AI bots on my website, AI responders, so that if you call in and you have a question and it's after hours, you can at least set an appointment, and they can probably answer quite a few of your questions. So I'm trying to take care of my clients. I am kind of hampered by some constraints, such as the number of hours in a day and the number of clients that I have, and my other obligations. And none of these are going away. So with that, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment with some of your biggest accounting challenges, and I will be answering questions and sharing more behind the scenes stuff in an upcoming video. Until then, keep your books clean, keep your expectations clear, and your summer peaceful, and I'll talk to you soon.